running full speed, but the markets are faster. Quasar Markets Live brings the world's top financial minds to you. Everything you need to know in one place. Learn from elite educators and gain a competitive edge, leveling the playing field for you. Join the conversation. Quasar Markets Live.
Good morning, Quasar Markets Live. Welcome back, BigBeat. How you doing, my friend?
Well, I tell you one thing: New York is still there. It hasn't moved. Still working, and it's still grinding it out, right? And when you look at the world today, and you see all the, well, I guess the fighting and the infighting and the backbiting, the market still is kind of shaking it off, right, Howard?
Yeah, absolutely. Market so far looking pretty good. Q's set to open up almost a full percentage point here right now, about 80 basis points, SPY about 65 basis points. So yeah, I guess, Friday war was the big problem. 8 o'clock or so Thursday night, we had, the bombing there, and, it seems to be shaking it off. Market is resilient.
And even with the market shaking it off, there were two things over the weekend that I saw. One thing that we've been following pretty heavily is gold and oil. And the gold market, even though with everything going on, and the market stock market still shaking it off. We'll say called shaking it off. Gold buying is the highest ever. Central bank gold buying at the highest ever. And oil, because of the war between Israel and Iran, that look, oil just jumped 5% over the weekend. Now it's down 3% here, but for every loss, that it's got to double that makeup. So, in a lot of ways, I'm not too concerned about oil right now. If it gets over $80 a barrel, then we got to worry right now. But the supply line to oil now. The quick question we got to all ask, and I'm going to keep my eye now. If you don't know, I've taken silver gold ratio off of my charts. As I tell everybody before, if your charts all look the same as it did a month or two ago, you're not doing it right. You got to move with the markets. But right now, I took a silver and gold ratio off, and right now I'm back on tick indicator because volume should be picking back up again. Yes, it's summertime. Why is it picking back up? Because the world is not quite ready to accept all this. So right now. If you heard me on Schwab, I talked about McDonald's, right, on the retail sector, that it's hurting right now. And so people are cutting back. And Howard, you mentioned it a lot about drinking habits of people right now. And I had a chat over the weekend too, as well, with the same situation. The younger people aren't drinking the same thing, and they're having to raise margins. I heard that everywhere. So you nailed that one. But when you're looking at the markets, what's going to power us higher? It's always the same thing I keep saying for years now: is tech. And we got to see that, right? So yeah, you're totally. I think we gotta keep our eye here very tight over the next 2 months now, because I'm not saying right now, but I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know which way the market's going to go. And if anybody tells you right now that they do have a clear view of it, they're wrong. If I don't have a clear view of this market, then most people don't have a clear view of this market.
Absolutely. Q's set to open up, back at 531.16 here, close to its all-time highs of 540. Is that part of the reason that you don't know? Because what is going to get it to all-time highs that would break through? You're thinking it's more of a natural reaction, or is it more that things aren't, just lighting up for you the way that you like them to line up?
Big shout out to Mike Shore out there from Prosperous Trading. What's going on, my man? If you want to, come on the show. Listen, you're right. There's two things going on in my minds here. To line up right now, to get those stars in order, I think two things have to line up right now. You've got to see geopolitical tensions slowing down just a wee bit, right? We can't see all these wars all the time. It's got to slow down just a little bit. The second thing I need to see, again, we have not seen a single win out of this presidency, right? We need to see some, as I've been saying, clarity, and we're not seeing that. There's one deal, UK, and it's really not even that. We didn't even change much. So I need to see a better change. Japan just said we're not going to make any deals until after the G7. Canada said no deals until after G7. And the summit, what it used to be called the Summit of the Eight, they kicked Russia out again. That G7 is going to be in Canada. So, next week. So those things right there to me tell me that, hey, you know what? Oh God, there's just so much still out there. And they're telling you, other countries are telling you we're not willing to work. So it's not on our side. It's now flipped around a little bit to their side, not wanting to work out.
Yeah, for sure, without a doubt. We got the Fed this week, right? What are you thinking there? Mr. Flanagan's calling for a quarter point, says it's going to come.
On Schwab and I was on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange last week. I was very clearly asked by Diane King Hall. Love Diane, by the way. She's awesome. The whole team at Schwab. Thank you again. No, I don't. I don't think so. And I'll tell you why. Because quite frankly, the Fed itself wants to cut. They really do want to cut. But they can't because they're concerned that if they cut and they spur the economy again, it'll raise inflation. They feel like they've got inflation in check, but they just want to make sure, and they're going to go one more month. Now, he's right. I called for July cut. I like a lot of people are calling for September and October. That's probably where we're going to be. Maybe it's wishful thinking on my part for July, but that's where I think we should be. So, no, I don't think for June. I think for July.
Okay, makes sense there. I saw Empire State Manufacturing came in -16. What does that even mean?
Yeah. Okay. So there's a 0 to 100. It means that manufacturing in the state of New York is crumbling. It means that it is in contraction. It means that no, they're not manufacturing. They are cutting back. They're not taking deliveries of raw material, and they are not manufacturing. So this is a very bad sign. Now, the question mark is, what is it that they manufacture in New York? What are they against what they manufacture in the Midwest and Ohio against that, right? So manufacturing to me is telling me, now I want to see other areas, right, before I make a strong call. But right now it's telling me that manufacturers coming out of the East and moving into the heartland, the Midwest, which is where manufacturing usually happens. Manufacturing moving to the coasts are not normal. They move things to the coast. Why? Because when you're importing, you import them on the coast, right? So it's easier to manufacture on the coast, manufacturing in California, manufacturing in Ohio or Oregon. It's not so easy to manufacture in the Midwest because then you got to get it in by shipping, then you got to move it by rail car. It's just easier to be in New York. So if manufacturing is moving, it's a good sign that it's moving to the Midwest.
Yep, absolutely.
And you know what's interesting over the weekend, Howard? I heard this several times, and we know this. The new city that is popular and growing very fast, and this pains me to say this, is Dallas, Texas. Dallas, Texas is becoming the new tech center. It is becoming a very strong place. And the second place is becoming strong again, especially in the fintech and finance area, is Chicago, Illinois. These two areas, those two areas are becoming so. I want to keep my eye on those two areas right now. But Dallas, Texas, I heard this so many times over the last week that Dallas, Texas is getting very hot. To keep our eye on Dallas, Texas.
Okay. One thing that the administration did do that's got some stocks moving up is SATS up about 48% earlier after the president stepped in and said it is time for them and the FCC to come to a agreement, up about 42% here this morning, almost all the way back to 200-day MA, and erased all the losses since that announcement came out a few weeks ago. What do you think there, Steve?
Oh, I think the spat with Elon and Donald Trump still on. Look, Elon's not going to get all those contracts he thinks he's going to get, right? And you got to move to some places else too. You can't give all the contracts to one company. It's not fair. It's not right. Well, actually, it's illegal. But EchoStar is going to get quite a bit. Now, when you look at the spectrum dispute, I think a lot of people don't really understand the spectrum. We have wavelengths and bandwidths inside of the FCC. The FCC determines who gets what, and we have different levels. Think of it like radio and TV and CB radios and ham radios. They all have a spectrum, a wavelength, and they got to be on that. And they get licensed by the Federal Communications. So when there are companies coming in and saying, hey, I need more because I have more people. I need more bandwidth. And they say, okay, well, they make those determinations. And EchoStar was one of those in I guess, fighting with a few things. They don't just want one thing, but satellites, right? We know that there's a massive problem in the air, out space. We have too many satellite dishes, satellites come in the air. And why is that a problem? Because, well, it's space junk and all that. So we've got to make sure that Elon Musk sending up 50 satellites all the time, that, they're all in order and they continue to stay in place. And we have what they call geosynchronous, which means they stay in one place. They go with this. They're constantly falling to the earth at 3,000 miles an hour, blah, blah, blah. Don't want to go too deep in the technical side of that. But what happens is that there needs to be other companies up there. So we have government, we have private, commercial, and we have pseudo government and private. So what does that mean? That some of these satellites are for military, are for communications in the government, but they're not done on commercial products. And that's what Elon Musk was fighting for, was to have Starlink to be the U.S. government's main company handling all this. Well, that ain't gonna happen. Now it's EchoStar is gonna get some, because now this is gonna and I don't think 48% is enough. I mean, I think it's gonna go higher and higher and higher, because now we're gonna have several companies now buying for it, and as it should be, right?
Awesome. Yep, they're definitely moving. Staying in space, ASTS and VSAT both soaring on the fact that they settled sort of that lawsuit with Legardo. It's going to be about $500 million, but it takes that regulatory uncertainty again sort of off the table. So it looks like satellite. Yeah,
space and M&A. I mean, how long have we been talking about this, Howard? You and I have been talking about ASTS for a while, that we think this is a good one. LUNR is another one I think is going to do very well in this whole game. It is what it is. I mean, we've been talking about it forever, so it's no surprise to me.
Yep. Another one moving up today is our friends over at Roku, up about 8.84% after they announced that they're going to join forces with Amazon for collaboration aimed to streamline advertising on CTV.
100%. Roku itself, I mean, have you bought a Roku box in a while? No, they needed to move away from the boxes. They needed to move into other things, and their streaming platform is what they went into. Smart move. And now they need to make ads. And Amazon is that company that has literally every product in the planet. And so because of that, they need to move those ads. This is absolutely smart. I think Vibe and Mountain are the other ones that do this. It's going to grow and grow and grow. And I think more people will be using the Roku streaming platform. Will they be using it? I mean, Apple has their own little box, right? But who the heck needs them anymore, right? It's on every TV now. It's on it's on your phone. You don't even need Apple TV, the box, anymore. So Roku is making a strategic move into the right place. Just ask Netflix when they left the DVDs. Same thing.
Yep, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Getting back into space, I forgot about Rocket Labs. We had one more there. They just did their 66th launch. And again, as you talked about, it is not a one sort of man show with SpaceX. So again, another one moving up nicely here based on this news.
I mean, space is what it is. I mean, look, I think William Shatner says it best. Our show, Star Trek, is just the beginning. We showed them the way. You're seeing it now. I think people are, I think the Biden administration did a lot of harm to the space world. Yes, I think we need to beef up NASA, not cut NASA. We need to expand on NASA. But the President Trump is right. It needs to be moved a lot into the commercial space too, right? They need to have innovation needs to happen from that side and not just from NASA. NASA needs to coordinate so that we don't play favorites. they're playing favorites. We know that already, but it needs to be in a situation where that we see a lot of small companies doing very well, because M&A will happen, and we're already seeing it. M&A will happen in that whole sector.
Right.
It's going to be big, right? And the chances of us landing on Mars and cultivating Mars and colonization of Mars, it's going to happen. Will it happen in our lifetime? I think so, but I'll probably be in a wheelchair running around with my little my beard hanging out and in a nursing home. But we will definitely be colonization of Mars. So is that your long-term frame? Then invest in Mars. Yeah.
Awesome. The big thing they talked about was their Neutron rocket designed for larger payrolls and constellation deployments.
We just saw a massive drop here in gold and silver. We just saw like a $14 drop here in gold and silver. So some selling there, and yeah, maybe some profit taking here in the morning here.
Yeah, just got a big dump right there. Yeah.
Look at that. And oil still 71.70 on a barrel. Yeah.
Right back up, gold back above 34.
Yeah.
So it bought up pretty quickly. Yeah, and we saw Qs have dropped back down a little bit. Everything's pulling off the highs of the morning, so we are seeing some profit taken.
Yeah, and I mean, right now, I don't really honestly see a lot of. For me, the trading is going to be a little tighter in this week, as we really need to see some data, right? I need to see the political tensions chilling out just a little bit. Yeah.
I will say on the side of about time they're actually getting on board here, it looks like that Coinbase and Gemini are both almost ready to get their licenses under the MiCA Act, the market and crypto asset regulation from the EU. So big moves for both of them, opening up those markets for them. As big as they are, both of those companies, they've sort of non-existent in the EU due to their new rules. But we see them coming in. Gemini is doing it through Malta, and Coinbase through Luxembourg. So good for both of those companies.
Am I saying this correctly? The Trump organization is releasing its mobile brand, Trump Mobile, with a T1 smartphone.
I don't know.
So we're now seeing this now coming out, and I'll put this up so everybody can see it. There it is. There we go. Not sure I want to give them everything that I'm doing, what I'm saying. So monitoring my, but that's the latest data coming out of the new mobile. Let's see how that's affecting AT&T this morning, or Verizon. AT&T down a little bit this morning.
Vodafone was up. I wonder if it's a partnership with them in some sort, because they were up early, I believe, is one of the bigger games, up about 2.3%. I didn't see any news that said. Yeah, I didn't really see any news.
I'm very concerned about the news about the Russia-U.S. consulate canceling the meetings a little bit. One thing that Trump said over the weekend that I thought was interesting is that he is willing to let Putin broker the deal or some peace deal between Iran and Israel. Not sure that I'd like to see that. I think we need to see more of a coalition than one country, whether the United States or whether it be Russia, brokering a deal between. Big boys need to step in here now, because right now both sides here are, they are really at war. This is not a tit for tat. This is not me shooting one rocket, you shoot one rocket. This is getting serious. I said this over the weekend. It's the biggest concern for me right now is the Iran-Israeli conflagration, I will call it right now.
Yeah, can't argue there. Tick staying up here about 100. It's been pretty much pegged in that area. Advanced decline set to open up about 2,500%, 2,500 to the upside. VIX has climbed back up towards 20, so 1973 again. Last week when it dropped down to 17, I said take a look at that, especially when it got down even lower into the 16 range. You buy that when it's anytime it gets low. has some protection. Most everything's set to open to the green, it looks like, in general. Laggards are all laggards for a reason right now.
And I think for me, I don't really see anything out there. We made money on Nvidia's. We did. We made money on McDonald's on my short. We've been making money, but I just can't seem to figure it out. Sarepta, there you go.
Yeah, that's the big laggard on the day, getting hurt on the fact that they might have to recall. People are getting sick from their liver drug. So big one to the downside. Otherwise,
And
you get trade.
Go ahead. You know what's interesting, Howard, is this morning on Quasar Markets AI, I asked that very question. What companies are working on liver disease? Because if Sarepta is out, what companies are there?
Yeah, that's a big one. I will say the amount of companies now looks slated to open in the red has doubled since I've been watching here this morning, but nothing really looking opening down significantly. Seeing that Newmont, some of the energy companies are getting hit a little bit here. Devon Energy, also Oxy. So again, oil getting hit here a little bit today, or energy. Tesla was up about 1.8% there, Steve, for you.
Don't fade the what?
Now 2%. Yeah, don't fade the Musk. And it's up on like some small stuff though. They did raise the price on the SNX, and they increased the range by 5 miles.
Yeah,
5 miles, Steve. Wow.
Well, it's interesting, Howard, that 80% of trips by people are less than 5 miles, right? Going to the store, going to the grocery store, going to Costco or whatever you guys go to. It's 5 miles. It's usually within 5 mile radius of your house. 5 miles is not a lot. They're also going to increase the price of Tesla. So I don't know. It's just not enough for me. But battery storage is getting better and better, right? So yeah.
We'll say Apple announced their new A20 chip, which is going to be a 2 nanometer, is going to go into their new phone, but only the 18 Pro and Max and the foldable. I know you talked about it. You still thinking Apple maybe here in the after these releases?
One thing I said the last few weeks is that I needed to see the WWDC, the Worldwide Developer Conference, see how it comes out. The most probably disappointing conference I've ever seen out of Apple. They poo-pooed AI in general. Oh, it's not good enough for us. Oh, okay, Apple. You mean you didn't catch up to them? Are you going to build, or you're going to quote build your own AI, Apple Intelligence? I remember when it came out to massive fanfare, I just kind of rolled my eyes at it then. And now everybody, including the fanboys, are now rolling their eyes at Apple Intelligence. Why? Because I did my homework. That's all you need to do. Go test it. I mean, I've been in AI, everybody knows that, forever, 15, 16 years now. And we're building our own AI, which is way better than Apple's. Let's go fast forward on this, right? Let's think about this. Is Apple really innovating? And the answer I continue to hear, and I heard over the weekend and over the week, no, actually not. We're going to make a faster phone. We're going to make a better. It's the best phone ever. That's what Tim Cook always says. This is the fastest. Great, because that's the whole point of your job, is to have a better phone, right? And I read while it was a little slanted, Sam Mobile this weekend, that almost everything that Apple came out with, Google's had for almost an Android, and Samsung has had for 5 years. So what? That's why they're kind of rolling their eyes. Now, will they catch up? The answer is yes. Will they do a good job? Yes. Will it be aesthetically pleasing to people's eyes? Yes. Are they turning the corner on wearables? 100%. But I'm not really sold on it right now. And is it worth investing in Apple? Not to me. I'm not buying Apple stock.
Other big news, again, that the administration did get something worked out is U.S. steel up about 5.1% here today. Steve, it looks like the deal is going to go through. What do you think about that? This happened while you were gone.
Yeah, the deal went through 6 years ago, and the Biden administration, when it was coming up before the previous administration, Obama, and then the previous Trump administration came up, did not do it because of COVID, And then it went through the Biden administration. They kiboshed it, came up again, and now they're approving it, right? So it took a little while, and then the Trump administration disapproved it, and said no to it, and said you need to make some adjustments. You need to invest in the United States, and then this is what's making it happen. So, and then they readjusted it once again, a month ago, I guess. Now it's being approved. So, this is a very strange place for me. Great. I'm glad the United States is getting it with steel. This is actually a good thing.
It's up about 5%, going to be opening up at an all-time high. So the market definitely likes the deal for sure. Going a little bit different here on you. Victoria's Secret, another one up today, as it looks like another activist investor getting involved has the stock moving to the upside, now up 7.2%. So looks like people are pretty happy with this move. Are you a buyer of Victoria's Secrets at these levels, Steve?
Well, the last time I wore that stuff was never, so I don't really understand this one. I will tell you that if my thinking cap is being put on, we are seeing more people staying home. So if they are staying home, then there you go.
Okay.
We'll leave it at that, Howard. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. What is also people are staying home and doing is betting. ENT and also MGM up nicely here this morning on the news. That and just for those that don't know, ENT is the folks that are doing the technology behind MGM's BetMGM's website and all that stuff, the gambling app, and up about 2.58% here, Steve. Upgraded guidance, 17% revenue increase from prior $2.2 billion forecast, and a 24% year-over-year iGaming revenue growth.
Two things that we needed in the world was more gambling, right? Look, it's very simple. The problem in the past with gambling was accessibility to it. There wasn't much accessibility to gambling itself. You had to go to the casino, and not every state had betting. There wasn't. It was taboo to a lot of places, all that kind of stuff. Gambling on sports and gambling on things, I have no problem with. I don't see any wrong. What I see a problem with is when you're betting on everything, or when you're gambling on everything and it's affecting your life. It shouldn't, if you can't eat because you're gambling, that's a problem, right? You have a gambling problem. But that's everything in life, right? In moderation. So when that problem seems to be settling down, right, more states are accepting of it. Florida being a good example of that. Connecticut being a good example of that. No longer just have to go to Nevada and Atlantic City to make this happen. And then the next thing you needed to have is the technology, tech to make that happen. Now the app isn't everywhere. The jurisdictions are making it happen. And people are realizing you can't, governments are realizing you can't legislate morality. And some people it's a moral thing. Some people it's not. I think it's silly. That when you look at it from that perspective, how easy is it? And DraftKings kind of took the I would say the lead on this. But the bigger gambling homes like MGM and Caesars and Hard Rock now said, look, we can make a better app. We've got more money than the little guys. And then DraftKings coming along. This is what I mean. So, yeah, I don't think this is going to stop. And to know the truth on this, they're no longer just ESPN now. There's several streaming shows now on Roku is a good example of that. They're everywhere.
Absolutely. So, yeah. We are open here. First tick is to the downside. Advanced decline opens up about 45, almost 4,600. So that becomes the line to keep an eye on here today. 4,600 on that. Qs opened up slightly with an uptick there. So we had seen a drop just before the bell. Now back above 531, but that's about the spot we open at, 531.
Ukrainian President Zelensky says he plans to discuss frozen Russian assets and price cap on oil at the G7 summit. So he's going to the summit.
There you go. Zero DTE is moving the market. You are right, Market Shark. Look at this thing jump up here, right on the open.
The NASDAQ. Ooh, the NASDAQ just jumped.
Yeah, 531.56, 62. It's moving up. And whoa, breakaway. There it goes.
So over the weekend, I also saw Carter Worth personally, and he was just telling everybody, don't put the 200-day moving average on your chart. Put the 150-day moving average on your chart. Thought that was interesting on a daily chart, by the way.
Whoa, high of the day. There you go. 532 just got hit. So Q's almost up a full point. You see the Dow Jones opens up about 60 basis points. SPY up 70 basis points. Q's up almost a full percentage point. And the RUT up right at a full percentage point here. So nice move to the upside. VIX has slightly dropped down to 1955 here. Still holding below 20, which is nice. And gold back above 3,400 here to 3,414. So that little dip Steve saw, it got bought all the way back up here.
And you know, I have to ask about, and Howard, you're closer to this than I am. Tesla with the autonomous driving vehicles in Austin, Texas, Dallas, Austin, Texas is becoming the hotspot, right? What do you think of the cars and driving cars, Tesla?
Yeah, I mean, that's the robo taxi is the future there. Without it, it's not going to hold on. I mean, that's quite honestly with what you're banking on if you're betting on Tesla right now. I think it's great. I think you're going to see more and more of it, and you know, I do think it's part of the future. You see Bitcoin holding up here, couldn't break 107, tried to get above it, back below 107 here, 106,660. We have pulled off the highs of the day here, so a little bit of profit taken now. Advanced decline 43.75, down a couple of hundred from the open. Tesla getting a hit here, was up 2%, now up 1%.
Boeing is a flat on the day here.
Amazon, the only of the Mag 7 to open up to the downside.
So I also saw Dan Ives over the weekend too. I was at the CNBC event, and he had a hot one for us. Taiwan Semi, TSMC. He likes Taiwan Semi for longer term.
Really? Okay.
Yep. And I specifically talked to him about Taiwan Semi. He said that, interestingly enough, that Taiwan Semi, I asked him the question, why Taiwan Semi? And then I asked him about his tailor. I wanted his tailor's phone number. But with Taiwan Semi, is Taiwan Semi at TSMC, is it as popular in Asia as NVIDIA is here in the United States? He said no, but it is becoming.
Okay. Absolutely. NVIDIA now up almost above 144 here. So NVIDIA trying to challenge back up to that 145.
Yep, and I'm no longer in NVIDIA. I took that money and ran, but
EchoStar taking off here again, 24.95, high of the morning. So we do see some things trying to move to the upside still. Roku up 10.16%. It took a jump right off the cash market open, now retracing a little bit here. On the laggards, see a nice move up by the trade desk that was down tremendously in the pre-market, now up 60 basis points here. So that reversed. What's not reversing is Newmont Corp is still down, trying to move to the upside a little bit, but down about a half percentage point.
Mm-hmm. 24.
All of the chips are moving to the upside in general here so far. If we look at the different sections of the Spider Select funds, only thing open up negatively is healthcare, down about 29 basis points here. And I think a lot of that has to do with Sargento there. Serpento. Tick has gone negative a little bit here. Advanced declines now down 41.48. So we are seeing some profit taken coming out.
And I just shorted EchoStar here, SATS. I think this 48% runs a little high here, so I am just now shorted SATS here.
Nice. Okay.
24.90 is where I'm at. It is a trade, so you know, but I think this, yeah, there we go. It is a trade. There you go. There you go. Well, yep.
Definitely are pulling back.
And I had a big order there. I won't say how big. It was really big, and I took those. I took the profit already.
Nice.
24.90 to 24.76. Yes, nice move. Very large order.
Nice.
It's even falling a little bit more now. I see.
Yeah, still going to the downside.
24.69, 24.82. There must have been a wow. And it might, yeah, 24.72 there, 69.
Keeps going. Yep.
Yeah, I had a good feeling that was a little bit rough there on that, but I took a profit and already have run. So yeah.
Yep, we never get mad about that.
And Bitcoin holding up here, Howard, over the weekend.
It made a nice move back to the upside. Yep, it is trying to break through that. It's got to hold above the 107.2 area. That's sort of the area that it's stuck in.
$24.46 on Sats. Look at that. Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the tick now dropping here down 63. So it's becoming a little bit weakness now. Iranian advisor to Revolutionary Guards Commander, we are ready for a long war and haven't yet made strategic use of our missile capabilities. So be careful out there. I've said this earlier this morning. We don't really know how this is going to come out. I'm not liking what I'm seeing. This is the new news coming out right now. There you go. I don't, be careful out there. That's what I'm saying, because anything could really happen here.
Yeah, you can't argue with that at all. Yeah.
Qs are pushing up though on that. 24.93 on Sats again. So back up again. Might do it again if it runs up there.
Yeah.
$25 now on Sats. So we might do a short here a little. Man, it's really struggling at 25.
Bad. Tick down 2. We've seen almost a 1,000 come off the advanced decline here. Hughes is still up 1.02%, but this means the mag is leading the way. Let's take a look at those spider indices now, see if that's changing at all. Actually, now they're all to the positive side. So seeing a little bit of a divergence between the tick here, Steve. Advanced decline in the market overall.
Yes, that could mean institutional buying, by the way.
Yeah.
So when low tick, low volume, but yet the markets are, remember every buy, there's always a buy and a sell. This is a zero sum company.
Yeah. Absolutely. Tick now still negative 3,700. So we keep moving to the downside here. Qs are holding up almost a full percentage point here. Big part of that, NVIDIA up 1.3%. Man, Meta up another 2.11% here today, Steve. Almost at 700 again. So Meta definitely moving, although it's at lows of the day now. So people selling off that pre-market gain. Tesla up about 1% here. As we said, Amazon the only one opening down to the downside. Chip sector really leading the way also. We see everything except for SNPS in the green. Big winner today, AMD up about 3.64%. ARM up 3.05%. Banks all up again here today too. That's being led, looks like, by Goldman Sachs, the highest, up about 1.6% here. So definitely seeing things move to the upside. Steve Flanagan disagrees with you a little bit there, Big Beat. You guys will have to have a talk at 10. If Big Bad Russia couldn't resolve a war with the Ukraine in an expedited time frame, Iran conflict promises to be over shortly. It's a lopsided conflict. It is so far. I think there it's about trying to get the regime out. I had a laugh that, Putin, the man who is the warmonger himself, wants to stop war, was a little crazy. Do see, a lot, of the stuff that I have on my general watch list. Everything was in the green here earlier. Seeing a few things move, as you said, Boeing, which had been flat, now down about 30 basis points. We see BASE base down about 2.41%, Fox down 0.5 percentage point. Carvana down almost 60 basis points. DJT, we haven't talked about that one in a while, down about 61 basis points. Do have to mention there, Steve, they got their SEC approval to become a Bitcoin treasury company. Not too surprising that they got that approval, so to speak.
It's really hard. You just called your own person you just hired, right? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but I do have to point it out that it happened. Let's see what else is. Newsmax down almost a full percentage point here. Oracle getting hit after hitting an all-time high. Steve, we didn't really talk about that. Oracle moved up a lot last week. All-time highs again, 216.60. You shorten it at these all-time highs, or you think this has the length to stay?
No, at some point, Oracle's right in the whole of quantum computing and all of that. Yeah, I like Oracle, but I'm not liking all of this move here. It's too much, I think.
Okay.
Oh. Shit. Did I just delete all the...
Palantir up 5.25% here today, Steve. Again, another one that just does not stop. 144.71. Wow.
I am looking at Oracle right now.
Okay, I'll pull it back up here if I can remember how my alphabet works. There we go. What are you thinking there, Steve?
I am pulling up a 1-hour chart on Oracle right now.
Yeah,
And
I got it right there. If you want.
Yeah, I'm not liking this chart at all.
Yeah, no, that looks like it's going to do the Bart Simpson. It made its move up. It's gone sideways. Now I see a retrace to at least 205.31 probably.
Yeah. But I'm not touching it yet. Tick up 300 here.
This is one that I would usually probably put a fib from this bottom here. You can see where the fib level coincides right at that 206.11, Steve. If it does break down, that's going to be the level it's going to go to.
There you go. Under 214 now. Yeah. I had 213.87. I had a feeling that might have been a little high. 214.
I was saying it looked a little overblown. Steve, the other one that just can't help itself, UNH down another 1.28% here.
It's healing now. As long as no more bad news comes out on UNH, I think I heard about UNH all weekend. So yeah. Russian foreign ministry now says Iran is acting with its own right to self-defense. Says dangerous consequences of strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities are obvious. Oof. This is getting interesting here.
Yep, absolutely.
This is what I mean by we need to be careful here on 0213.72, so slipping a bit more here. Those are dangerous words to be honest with you. I'm hearing there's a ground stop issued by FAA for LaGuardia.
Oh, wow. Here has gone back positive, and advanced declines picked up 200 to 300. So looks like the algos fighting each other out. Bulls are going to walk out of the morning power half hour there, as we call it there, the algo. The algo rush seems to be in 0 DTEs. Looks like the bulls are taking the command there. Market Shark, what do you think? Bitcoin just can't hold above that 106,750 area. Still in the same range. It broke out last Monday to those highs of almost 111. Was looking to see if it was going to complete that yet here today. Doesn't look like it wants to. It's tried twice. It's broken above that 107, but it falls right back down to it. We'll say the one that's flying today is Uniswap, up 10%, almost 10%. We are in a trade in the crypto crew on that. So we're very happy with that. We got into that Friday. Obviously, the other one has shown some really good strength lately. DeFi is making a comeback, Steve. It is not dead. DeFi.
Oracle now down $1 here, or down 4 cents, but off the highs of the day there. So I had a feeling that was definitely a sell up there. I didn't like that too much.
We'll say Q's starting to take off again now, up 1.08%. So bears might have trapped the bulls, but it didn't work. The bulls are now pulling away. AMD at 4.6. Wow, we're getting a breakout on AMD here. It's got room to run all the way to 124 here. Watch for a run to the 200-day MA. Delta Airlines up 2.83% here also.
Under 213 now on Oracle.
Yeah, you called that one, Steve.
Yeah, but I missed it.
Wow. Regenicell up 126% now, Steve. I haven't even figured out why it's moving up. There's nothing in the news that I see.
And make on an up day, McDonald's down again today. So I think I was right.
Wait a second. It had a split. I was trying to figure out why this thing's up 120%. It did a split. Okay. That makes more sense. I'm going to take that off my screen, everybody. SATS up 42.64 here, Steve. Still holding up a little bit.
Yep.
If it drops below that 23.21, it's got a long room to downside here. You could be looking
12.50 on Oracle. Look at that drop on Oracle now. Oof, I missed that one.
Steve, I will say one you and I disagreed on that I might have been right on is Robinhood here, up 3.48%. I said that S&P news didn't scare me at all when they didn't get included. They're now approaching back towards their all-time high at 77.80. I just think, unfortunately, that's where the kids are trading these zero DTEs and everything. Oh, Steve, I wanted to talk earlier. Yep. Cruises are back, baby. Cruises are back. Carnival was able to get themselves a better, you erased my headline.
I apologize. I thought it was mine.
I'm going to look for it to say exactly what had happened, and it's gone. But Carnival announced a new $4.5 billion multi-currency revolving credit facility this morning. It replaces their existing facility, and it allows for up to $1 billion more in monies to them. So strong move by Carnival, has all the cruises moving up here this morning.
Yeah. I mean, who's been talking about cruises for a while, right? I wasn't scared of the cruise lines. I know how busy they are. I'm going on another one in another month or two. So, wow, Oracle's still slipping here. Yeah, and it is. Now, there is on Netflix a new movie coming out called The Poop Cruise. It's where Carnival Cruise Lines messed up, and I won't go into it. It's too disgusting.
Yeah,
but it's yeah. So there might be this bad feeling here coming in. But the summertime, man, I mean, it's just cruises are they're increasing the number of cruises, they're increasing the size of the boats, ships. So yeah, no.
Steve, have you looked at your Nike chart lately? What are you seeing over there?
I still love Nike. I think Nike. I called that bottom down there. I still like it. I still think it goes up. I'm really liking it a lot. Change out your DMA now, 200 DMA to 150. And I think you'll see what I see now. I really took notes with Carter Worth over the week when I saw him. It was a very interesting about the 150 DMA. And I will tell you that, see that? That's where I think that we're going to right there.
I have 68.87. That'd be a pretty good move there.
Yeah.
What did he give his reasoning for 150?
He showed us the charts. He showed us all the time where things bounce to and not always to the 200-day moving average. And one of the reasons being is that, and I whenever you turn a chart on for the first time, it literally defaults to 200 DMA. So that's why a lot of people do that, but Wall Street uses the 150. So I want to bring you Wall Street, not just what quote everybody else does. I don't follow I don't follow them. So if you look at major companies with daily moving at 150-day daily moving average, but look at the daily charts of just about everything, and it bounces right to them as opposed to away from them. So pull up an NVIDIA chart and pull up like the 150 DMA, and you'll see what it's crazy. Look at that line. Look at that bounce off those. I mean, it's just nuts. So I didn't agree. Look at that thing. Look back there. Isn't that wild?
Now let me be the skeptic I always am. And if I put the 200 in.
Yep. I said the same thing. I was a skeptic too, and it didn't go all the way to it. So that's how you get false. And I didn't realize that. I mean, I'm the 200-day moving average guy. So yeah. We're hearing reports now that Iran is signaling that they want to de-escalate hostilities with Israel, according to the Wall Street Journal right now.
Yeah, because they can't.
It's a war they can't win, but they want to say, okay, 212.59 now on Oracle. Look at that. Continue. Oh, there it goes. Oil is dropping hard now. Spot gold dropping hard. I swear I said, folks, be careful out there.
742.
Be
Boom.
careful out there. 107 now on Bitcoin. Like I said, be careful. You just don't know what these headlines are going to hit. I mean, that's just what, yeah.
Nike just jumped up on that. I love it.
Look at that. Look at the oil below 70 now, just dropping.
Nice move up all around here.
Like I said, Iran says privately it will resume talks if the U.S. stays out of the fight. Ooh. I wonder why they don't want to mess with the United States.
Mr. Flanagan, who should be joining us here momentarily, just gave us a Let's go. Let's get the animal spirits in the room. Let's do it. Let's get this market moving to the upside. Does look like
530. There it is. 107 of Bitcoin again, baby.
Yeah,
buy those dips.
Up nicely. Everything moving up nicely. It's got to stay above 107,250 though, and I mean stay above it as in for a day or two, not for a moment or two.
Right.
That's been the problem. That's been the zone that it's been stuck in. You can see here. Oh, we can't on that one. You got to look at this one. You can see it just got back above the liquidity zone. And like I said, I will point out it had a very similar approach today as it did last Monday. Last Monday, it got all the way up to 110,700. So you got room definitely the upside towards there without a doubt.
And Oracle, even with that bounce, could not hold that bounce. It's kind of what I said. Tick dropping pretty heavy here, but oil continued to slip. 70.22, right above the $70 handle there. Silver slipping 36.20, and gold still slipping here.
Yeah. Okay, I see him in, ready to talk the news. Let's get into it with Mr. Flanagan. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, gentlemen. How are you today? Good Monday for everybody.
Good Monday to you, sir.
24 days to go to the July 9th deadline.
And just a little bit of mayhem to start us off, huh?
Yeah, and you got to be surprised the way markets are reacting right now, as we've been talking last week. And again, we're going to say the same theme. Everybody's in the position. Show me why I need to get out. In my case, let's talk currencies. Why should I get out of a short dollar position here? You put the low in the Dixie on Thursday at 97.60. You closed at 97.85. I'm sorry, you closed at 98.14. We're presently under that last Friday closing level. So why am I going to get out of that trade? Just stay with it. Let the wave just keep rolling.
Absolutely.
Diane King Hall and Schwab Networks. Good morning, Steve, by the way. Good to see you. Ask me about Powell and rates. What are you thinking, bro? I mean, I said no way in July. No way now in June, but July, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to be under a lot of question. First, my forecast, I believe they cut 0.25% on this Wednesday.
Okay.
I think Bank of England follows them on Thursday with a 0.25% cut. I think that, if you've got inflation, look, we're running a restrictive monetary policy right now.
We are. Yep.
And inflation is declining. Now, get out of the uncertain, the numbers. Let's get to data. Come on, guys. If that's data dependent, inflation coming down every month. I mean, give us 0.25%. What do you think? 0.25% is going to run rampant inflation again? So I do think
they do. I think that Powell is saying, hey, you know what? I got inflation in check, so why don't I be just a little cautious? I'm the Fed. I'm not willy-nilly Wall Street bets. Like I'm the Fed. So I think I don't like it. I mean, calling for cuts, but I think that's what's happening. I think Powell's saying one more time.
You know, Steve, I don't disagree with that. However, you missed it so badly on the way up.
They did.
You know, there's got to be a little bit of reckoning within them that, look, you're putting yourself on being labeled as totally useless. And that's the point. I think the Fed is, Steve, I mean, they're no longer doing the job that for 40 years in the financial markets that I've seen central banks do, where they're out in front, where they're leading the market, where everybody's looking to them for guidance and leadership and that forward outside the forest view. They're not doing that anymore. They're just sitting there saying, oh, hey, look, inflation went up 0.1. We need to keep rates high. You know, inflation's coming down globally, everywhere.
Right.
So let's get with it. I mean, you don't, unless you're saying that United States is totally insulated from the rest of the world, I don't think that their argument holds any water anymore.
Well, wait a minute. I mean, that's what the president wants, to be isolated. He wants nationalistic policies.
You know, again, he wants domestic production. He wants jobs in America. He wants to kind of spread the wealth out through America. You know, a lot of good ideas and concepts. I'm not going to judge him on a day-to-day basis, and I'm not going to get involved in the politics side. I think
even though Empire Manufacturing minus 16.
Well, what does New York produce?
Bad politicians.
Oh, sure. Now that you've moved away, you're negative New York. I see how you are already.
Yeah, look at that.
He's Florida man now.
Welcome to Florida, Steve. Yeah.
Yeah, well, not yet. The truck has not departed yet, so but we're getting there. But let's face it, New York is a taker, not a giver. What do we give? Okay, we got some great tourism, sure. You know, I mean, you know, if you get
there, I mean, I know. Look, it didn't seem like New York was falling apart just yet. At least the city, Manhattan, and I love Manhattan. But you're right. We're not, and you know what I think Trump is absolutely right about is moving the manufacturing to the Midwest, right?
To the heartland. You know, it's easy to distribute if with the railroad system, even though that's, you know, probably, hell, there's another infrastructure repair job down the road. But you know what? You know, you can go east-west as opposed to just being on the East Coast where, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I live right there. I mean, the big railways come right through Dayton, Ohio, and 75 goes north and south directly from Canada through Detroit down to Florida to where you guys live. And east and west 70 goes all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast. So we see it. And you know what? I was actually going to bring that up. I didn't do it this morning, but, you know, I happened to take a nice road trip on the highways, and it was interesting to see what we do build here. It was garage doors, screen doors, bigger components. You know what I mean? But not technology. Honda parts, though. Not you know. And then the final distribution where they put together GM and Ford cars. So it's interesting. It's like we said, I think it's going to be harder to get chips here than it is to do it with things that people still, you know, that robots can do easily. Yeah. Because you do need robotics to be involved for it to be, you know, to be able to be profitable.
Yeah, and you know, if you've got to really, you do have to move things out of the East Coast, where all the cities are here. Because, I mean, if, Steve, you were just in New York, I mean, you probably flew here. I just recently did a drive down to Florida, And 95. Oh my goodness gracious, is that
It's a mess.
It's a mess.
Oh,
So
yeah.
driving.
It's really Ron War. I mean, it's like fighting.
Well,
Yeah,
you guys just hit on it. I would say that's the difference. Is our highway here is 90% 18-wheelers. Like, I'm not joking. It's not that 50-50. There are no car-only lanes like you all have in New Jersey. It is 18-wheelers, 18-wheelers moving these things around. I will say what I noticed was lumber was back on the. I got stuck again next to a couple of big rail crossings where it was big. Saw a lot of chemicals back on them that I didn't see a month ago, and lumber in a huge way. And these are, I'm talking, when you see lumber on these cars, they're still the trees coming through Canada down to us to be refined down here. And there was a ton of them. I was surprised. It's really been a change. I watch this stuff. I see it on my daily drives there. So it was interesting to see. I also will say it's going to be a good farming season so far.
All right. Well, you still have rail crossings here. We all have to go under because so many people get hit because they all try to outrun the trains.
Listen, Ohio is the king of derailments. Steve, we got to bring it up here. 97.68, 97.68, slipping to lows. Man, this is lows almost to the year today.
Well, we are, at the 2022 lows right now. And if you get, much below the Thursday low of 97.60, I mean, we should be targeting in 95.5. And what does this really tell us? 95.5, I think, is the ultimate area where we could get to. And that's back in 2021. Wow. Yeah. But what is it telling us? It's telling us that, the world is looking at the U.S. Everybody has, since April 2nd, is hammered. If you look at the weekly lows, closes, it's just, you get these little pockets, then it breaks. Little pockets, then it breaks. You guys just had a chart up where it's a little pocket, flat line, and then it breaks. That's what has been this, in each of the markets. And so when I look at currencies, nobody wants to be in the dollar right now because there's no reason to. Now, I'm going to bring this back to my Wednesday call. If we look at the euro and its appreciation, in fact, this was something that started maybe 10 years ago in my FX career, back when we were trading. When a central bank cuts rates, it means it's like an open door to investment. And when you cut rates, money flows in. So watch this week. If the Fed were to surprise the markets on a rate cut on Wednesday, and I believe that there's good reasons for them to give us what do we call that? A hawkish cut? Let's give them a way out, but give us the cut. Watch the dollar from these extremely oversold levels.
Right. Yeah. I mean, wow.
Tell me where the bottom is, Steve. If you say there's no reason to be in the Dixie, then talk to me about where the bottom is. Where the ultimate. If I were to put an order in today, thinking that I'm a long-term trader or I have a company that's going to go international, where is the bottom on the Dixie?
94.5, 95.5. In fact, I would begin to look ahead of 95.5. I would begin to dabble and look to build again. When you try to jump in front of a freight train like that, that we've seen here, straight down essentially, and really we're talking about since April. So it's just a couple of months here. When you're trying to jump in front of, pick a bottom on something like that, you dabble, you start. If you were going to invest $1, then you do 25 cents.
Right.
You look for a confirmation because if you get a turn, it's got plenty of upside to begin to price average from a winning 25-cent position. Meanwhile, most likely it's going to continue in your face for a bit. So you don't want to put it all in on one shot. So you dabble at 95.75, again at 95.25, again at 94.75. And if we break below 94, I would say, there's something seriously wrong in the world order. I do believe, as I've been saying, and we are in our June timeframe, I would have thought that my forecast would have been coming to fruition by now. But, hey, I'm out there early on 6 months ago saying June. So whether it's the end of June, middle of June, or early July, I'm in the zone where this is where I'm looking to gather and looking to counter trade what's going on. What's giving me a lot of hope is the U.S. equity market, because it's up against its highs, and this tech rally is, look at the earnings that we just went through. I'm not seeing what everybody was saying. Tech, down, no investment, data centers are a thing of the past. Not so. Not so.
I guess the question is, what is it going to take, guys, to get us through these all-time highs on the Qs, on the SPY? Is it going to be the budget?
Well, you potentially, yeah, you got a deal. You've got the EU coming out saying, hey, we're ready to accept a 10% baseline from the US. Wow.
Japan's not saying that. China's not saying that. Some of our biggest trading partners are not saying that. The only deal that Trump's got is with the UK. Everything else is not done.
Yeah, that's right, Steve. And, let's see what the G7 meeting has. I mean, it would surprise me. Remember, the last time the G7 guys got together with Trump walked out.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So let's see what happens on this one. I mean, clearly, I would expect the United States to get a hand slap on the tariff situation. But, these guys all love to come up with, some sort of agreement. They all love that photo op of shaking hands. So, I'm one of those guys that always sees the glass as half full.
Okay, so let's ask this question, Steve. If that's the case, then the thing that we all look for is in the summit is not always the grip and grins, but it's the communique. What comes out of what is said in that final sheet of paper to everybody? This is what we're all thinking. This is what our agreements are. What do you want to see in that communique?
Steve, I just want to see that we have some sort of consensus. And I don't think that we're going to see anything earth-shattering in the communique. I think they'll urge for an end of conflicts in Ukraine, Russia, in Israel, Hamas. I think that there'll be a special mention of Iran and Israel. I think what you may see is the olive branch from the G7. If we get peace here, we will bring infrastructure development back into these war-torn areas. That's a significant olive branch. But I don't think you'll see anything outside of the United States and Japan now on the sidelines just agreed or anything like that. I would say after the G7, the clock is ticking. And we know that Trump had said 60 days for Iran to come to the table and make an agreement. We know that the UN Atomic Regulatory Agency, I forget the initials, right, came out 2 days before the conflict and said Iran is not fulfilling its draft, its agreement. So day 61, bam, look what happened. So I'm looking at all these numbers now, July 9th, July 4th, the Senate's promising a budget. I'm looking at these dates now a little bit more strictly and holding them a little bit dearer to me. So I would be watching carefully after the G7, perhaps at that level, some things are said. We know China, U.S., the two presidents met, and next thing you know, bam, they hammered out a framework. Okay. It was a framework. It was something. So I would be watching post the G7 meeting.
And do you think that Russia will be a main topic there and not just in the case, but we're hearing that Russia and China are starting to be really friendly to each other. We're seeing Russia being friendly, and I'll move it to, there we go, so we can do those. But Russia seems to be becoming stronger, not weaker, in the last few weeks.
Diplomatically, perhaps, yes. I mean, economically, no. But
correct. That's what I meant,
diplomatically, you know what? Let's see. People talk about the art of the deal. All right. Sometimes I get a bit impressed at the way these deals come out with this guy. I saw the headline, Steve, I think you even mentioned it, that he's willing to allow Russia to negotiate. You know what? You open the door and start saying, hey, United States does not want to rule the world. We would like a coordination. China, step in, help us out here. Russia, step in, help us out. I think that that would be an incredible positive. Will it happen? I don't know, but the overtures appear to be there.
We don't deal with dictators, and Putin is a dictator. So all of a sudden, we're allowed. Why would Trump say I'm okay with Putin stepping in and I guess brokering the deal, shall we say?
Well, you know, I think we all would agree he's a dictator, but he was duly elected in Russia, right? And there were international people observing the election. So
I would say ask Navalny what he thinks about that. Or anyway, he's dead now. But the yeah, I'm not surprised, right? Okay, so let's get to it. Let me ask the question here. I'm going to be in Japan here soon, so talk to me about the dollar in the basket of I'd say the basket of the top 5. Euro. I'm in Europe next week. Why is the dollar staying so low? Are foreign countries pulling their money out of us?
I don't think, Steve, and the numbers will be out. I believe next week we'll get the TIX data, which will begin to show, have foreigners begun to sell. I don't think it's the fact that foreigners are selling. Okay. I think people are hedging. A big difference, right? You have a fixed asset here of $1 billion, and you're worried about the United States. You call your bank and you sell 300 million, and you put a 30% hedge on. Right. That I think is going on, has been going on. And I think as the dollar is dropping lower and lower, specifically against the euro dollar, right, people are increasing the hedging amount per the model that they, watches this. So that's what I think is going on. People are hedging because of uncertainty with Trump, uncertainty.
I look over and I see spot gold still holding at 33.95 right now, 33.96, 3,400, 3,300, that area. And central banks are buying gold at the highest level ever. Russia just increased their reserves. Are they buying these gold in dollars?
Well, they would be buying in dollars, or they would be buying in their local currency. But right. I would imagine.
I mean, selling U.S. treasuries and buying gold. So would they be selling U.S. stock and buying gold?
Well, I don't necessarily agree with the argument of selling the U.S. Treasury, because the U.S. Treasury right now is a high rate of return.
Very high rate of return.
With the dollar going down, if you're buying a U.S. Treasury and the dollar is in a weak forecast, which everybody's forecasting a weak dollar, then I buy $1. I need to have a hedge against it immediately to protect myself. And I believe that is what is going on in the currency world today. The hedges are being increased.
The hedges are being increased. I love that. Steve Flanagan, my man. We'll see you right back here on Wednesday. And for all of us, yep.
Before we go, Steve, you're going to Japan. You've got Bank of Japan tonight. 0.5% is their interest rate, expected to be unchanged. But watch the Bank of Japan. Remember, they're still buying bonds.
They are. Yes.
Quantitative easing, correct?
Right.
They may cut that amount from 400 billion, 2.8 billion a month, down to 1.4 billion. That could be a bit of a shocker to the markets. Now, I would imagine that you could see a dollar turn on that news and trade slightly higher. Japan's getting a bit concerned about the strength of the yen.
Bank of Japan hates it when the yen gets strong, right?
You betcha, Steve.
Thanks, Steve. We'll see you right back here on Wednesday. For all of us at Quasar Markets, we'll see you right back here